Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's up? We're gonna practice again. Today we're gonna work on Barrios Valse 3 and we're trying a new format. Let me know what you think. I just found this video. It looks interesting. It's called The End of the Smartphone is Near by Joe Scott. So we're gonna practice Barrios and give a few little reactions and thoughts to this thing. This is definitely a sentiment that I've felt for a while, that the age of the smartphone is, kind of passing us by at this point. So let's watch this together and practice together.
This is the Motorola 888, one of the most popular cell phone models back in 1994. I actually had one of these myself back then. It only had like 15 minutes of talk time every month, so it was basically just for emergencies. Jump forward 10 years and Motorola introduced the Razr V3, a wildly different design right out of science fiction that flipped open like a Star Trek communicator, thinner than a pencil with hours of battery life and unlimited talk time. Also, you could text and play games with it. I had one of these too. Once upon a time, I kept all the cell phones that I had owned over the years and had them displayed next to each other so you could kind of see them getting smaller and smaller over time. That was pretty cool. I did actually lose them all in an apartment fire in the early 2000s, so I lost them. That kind of sucks. But the point is, that's how much cell phones changed in those 10 years. How much did they change in the last 10 years? In 2013, Apple launched the iPhone 5S, and here's the current model, the iPhone 14. They're basically the same phone. Yeah, I know they've gotten way more powerful, the cameras are better, there's more functionality now than you had back then, but design-wise, user interface-wise, it's fundamentally not that much different than it was back then. In fact, you could make the argument that you could go all the way back to the first iPhone in 2007 to see the first major difference. I know all you Apple haters now flame in the comments saying that that's because Apple sucks, and yes, you are that predictable. But the point is, we've kind of reached peak smartphone. I mean, where else can you even go with this device? So one of two things is true here. Option one, the phone has reached its final form. And from this point forward, the only improvements we're going to see are just incremental changes, just to get us to keep buying new ones. Because if we don't, they'll go out of business. Or option two, something else is about to come along and take its place. Something just as disruptive as the smartphone, something that changes the way we interact with the world, something that we'll all have to go out and get just to not fall behind everybody else. Some of the wealthiest companies in human history are facing massive pressure to be the first to create this device, whatever it may be. So with that much at stake, and literal trillions of dollars to invest in it, I think there's an argument to be made that the smartphone's days are numbered. And there are a few trends happening in technology right now that might exacerbate that. So today, let's talk about that. What's going to come next? And how's it going to change our lives in the future? So let's start by stepping back. Way back. This is a codex. It's basically a book, but written by hand on something other than paper. Written or drawn. A lot of codices were illustrated. Pause for a second.
Okay, my earbuds aren't no longer connected to my computer. All right, let's.
Codices is a fun word.
Why is it?
Anyway, before the codex, let's start by stepping back. Way back. This is a codex. It's basically a book, but written by hand on something other than paper. Written or drawn. A lot of codices were illustrated. Codices is a fun word. Codex, the only way to carry around words was in your head or on a scroll. Sure, sometimes you could etch them in stone, but only enough for 15 commandments.
These 15! Wait. 10 commandments!
The point is, the codex was a disruptive device that changed the way we communicated information as a species. Perhaps the first disruptive information technology, followed by the printing press in the 1430s, but things really got disrupted with Alexander Graham Bell. Bell, of course, was one of the inventors of the telephone, as I mentioned in a recent video. Edison also worked on a telephone, but Graham got the patent The Bell box telephone went on sale in 1877, and for more than 100 years, the design stayed pretty much the same. I mean, microphone, speaker, wires, a dial, later buttons. What else do you need? Then came the cell phone. In 1973, Motorola unveiled the first portable cell phone. It weighed 2.4 pounds and had to charge 10 hours for 30 minutes of talk time. Guys, battery tech has come so far, it's insane. But the cell phone, at first anyway, was really more of an evolution than a revolution. It was the smartphone that really changed everything. I mean, think about the revolution that the smartphone was. It literally leapfrogged science fiction. I mean, the Star Trek communicator was just that, a communicator. It didn't play Angry Birds. You couldn't even text with the thing. Yeah, I did a video a while back where I talked about the AT&T You Will ad campaign from the 90s where they kind of tried to predict where technology was going to go in the future. It's an interesting episode if you haven't seen it. You should go check it out. But seriously, even the people who made the future happen had no idea the change that the smartphone would bring. And that was like 15 years ago. The first generation iPhone was revealed on January 9, 2007. It launched in US markets in June 2007 and a few other countries in November that year. In 2007, over 122 million smartphones were sold. Sales numbers climbed through the debut of other iPhones and Android phones, and in 2014, 1.2 billion smartphones were sold, and sales have hovered around the 1.4 billion mark ever since. As of the recording of this video, nearly 7 out of 10 people on the planet owns a smartphone. It's become a fundamental part of our human experience at this point. But as I asked at the beginning of this video, like, where do we go from here? Like, what more can we get out of this black square? If TV and movies are any guide, future phones will be transparent and have holographic displays. It's kind of amazing how ubiquitous that is as sort of a shorthand for future technology, the whole transparent screen thing. Like, one of my favorite shows, Parks and Rec, in their final season in 2014, they kind of jumped ahead 3 years, and in their version of 2017, just 3 years later, everybody had transparent phones with holographic projections and stuff. Swing and a miss. And yet there's no real push for that in real life. Samsung filed a patent in 2020 for a partially transparent phone, but nothing's come of it. There have been a few transparent displays, but the challenges of creating a clear phone are immense. I mean, like, all the battery and all the hardware would have to fit inside the bezel somehow. Not saying it'll never get there, I'm just saying that it's more of a sci-fi convention than an actual trend. One place we can experience improvements is in battery life. I know I just said the batteries have gotten way better over the years, but so have the power needs of these devices, so point is there's still room for improvement. Graphene batteries we keep hearing about, that could add capacity while reducing weight. They're also less prone to bursting into flames than, say, lithium-ion batteries. I've talked about graphene and all kinds of other alternative batteries in other videos. Now, one area where phone companies have usually tried to differentiate themselves is with the cameras. Well, we've kind of gotten to the point where adding more resolution is pointless. I mean, once you're recording in 4K video, there's just diminishing returns after that. But there is still some room for improvement on the front cameras. Right now we still have to deal with these notches in the front cameras because we haven't quite perfected the under-display camera, so that's a technology that's being worked on. But in lieu of being able to improve the cameras, we can improve image processing, specifically with AI. In fact, the inclusion of AI is a big area where smartphones are expected to evolve. Like, you can expect in the near future for these large language models to kind of act as digital assistants on the phone that can work between apps to solve problems for you. Like, instead of ordering food from DoorDash or Uber Eats, you would just tell your phone, order me some lo mein from Pearl's Chinese restaurant, and it would just get on the app and do it for you. Or just say, I need to order plane tickets to Boston, and it'll get on a travel app and give you options to choose from. But I think that's where smartphones are basically going at this point, just basically becoming digital assistants and distraction devices. But really beyond that, like, form factor wise, where do you go from here? Because I mean, like, nobody thought that the smartphone was going to be like the end of progress, right? There's going to be something that takes its place. I think the question comes down to how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? Because there is a bit of a backlash to our smartphone addiction. Some say it would be great to have a device that provides all the advantages of a smartphone, but without the distraction part, so we can live in the moment and connect with people. Others believe the only way out is through, to go deeper into the immersion. This is, say, what Apple's trying to do with the Vision Pro and Meta with the Quest and the Metaverse. I've talked about the Metaverse before, no need to rehash all of that, but there is a push for more immersion, which, and this might sound kind of counterintuitive, but it also kind of aims to make the technology invisible. Like, what if instead of, looking down at your screen all the time as you're walking around, that the world was your screen? This is the potential for smart glasses and headsets. So I know I'm kind of late to the game to talk about the Apple Vision Pro. There's not a whole lot here that I can say that you haven't already heard, so let's just call this my take on it. So obviously I don't have a Vision Pro, but I've had the Quest 2. for a couple of years now. It was kind of a pandemic purchase. And I don't know, I go through phases with it. Sometimes I use it a lot. Sometimes it just kind of sits in the drawer for months at a time. But it's safe to say I haven't found a use for it that really has integrated it into my life, and become a part of my everyday routine, say the way my phone or the computer's become. It's mostly recreational for me. But one aspect of it that I always thought was really cool was the pass-through mode. Now on the Quest, it's low resolution and it's black and white, but it gets the perspective right, and you can see, especially when the Guardian barrier is up, how seamlessly the digital content interacts with the real world. Like, that really opened up for me what the potential for AR and mixed reality headsets are. That, if you could digitally put computer displays or artwork or TV screens anywhere you wanted in your home or in your office, like, that opens up a lot of possibilities. Might even call it a game changer. So when the Vision Pro was announced, like, for me anyway, it was like somebody took a list of the things that I wish the Quest could do and made it a reality. The high-definition, lifelike pass-through mode that you could turn on and off with a dial, the fact that it automatically became transparent when people walk into your field of view, the fact that you don't need clunky controllers in your hands, this stuff just blew my mind. And I gotta be honest, I really want to see this whole eye-tracking technology thing that people keep raving about, calling it, close to magic. It just looks sick. So Apple calls this spatial computing instead of AR or mixed reality, because Apple gonna Apple. But I think it's actually a fairly accurate term to use, because they're talking about taking the computer experience off of a screen and making it three-dimensional in the world, which again, in a way, is kind of like having a transparent phone if you think about it. And of course, here come the comments about the price tag and me being an Apple fanboy, because yes, you are that predictable. But the price tag is steep. I mean, it's $3,500. That's a good chunk of change, especially when you compare it with the Quest or the Quest Pro at $500. But the quality of the image and the mixed reality functions are just so far beyond the Quest and what lower price models can do. Like, it really puts it more on par with higher end mixed reality headsets like the Varho VR3, which starts at the exact same price. The Vision Pro is like buying a computer and a display in one, but the display can be as big or small as you want it to be. Now, I want to say, I don't think the Vision Pro is going to be a game changer. It's priced too high for most people. It's really more of a developer product for professionals to get their hands on and see what they can come up with for it. Which, I mean, one could make the argument that's what the original iPhone was. I mean, I remember people laughing out loud at the price and saying there's no way anybody would ever be willing to spend that much money on it. That, and it didn't have a fraction of the functionality that it would have even 5 years later after the developers started creating more interesting and useful apps for it. I see the Vision Pro as just a good first step, like something that will be refined in the coming years, something that will get people used to this idea of spatial computing, so that when something more functional, more price non-prohibitive comes along, it's an interface that we all understand at that point. And I do think that's where this is going. Like, a lot of hay has been made about the fact that it has that front screen that shows your eyes, which, yeah, it's weird, maybe even a little dystopian, but I think this is kind of meant as a band-aid of sorts until the technology gets sorted out for transparent smart glasses and whatnot. Here we are with that transparent screen thing again. Now, you might not like the idea of smart glasses, but if you want to talk about what could be the next smartphone, what will be the next sea change in how we interface with technology, I think that's a good bet. Like, instead of being, tethered to a screen that you hold in your hand, the screen will be right in front of you, as big as you want, as transparent as you want, with helpful information displayed as you navigate the world, probably with some kind of helpful AI assistant anticipating your needs. Like, instead of having to carry something around, you just put the glasses on and go about your day, The technology will be integrated into your daily life, and ideally, become invisible. Now, that's one direction that things could go in. There is another direction, though, with the same goal of making the technology invisible. It's from a company called Humane Inc., which was founded by two former Apple execs, Imran Chaudhry and Bethany Bongiorno. Imran and Bethany are a husband and wife duo who left Apple in 2017, a move they didn't make lightly. Chaudhry worked as a designer for Apple for 22 years. He often worked side by side with Steve Jobs. He's actually listed as a co-inventor of their patent for the touchscreen. Bongiorno was a director of software engineering at Apple. She managed a number of notable projects, including the first iPad, and in case that's not impressive enough, before that, she was an astrophysicist. Clearly, these guys know a thing or two about building smart devices. They're also good at keeping secrets. They've been operating in stealth mode for nearly 5 years. Everybody knew they were up to something big, but nobody knew what. There were some hints along the way, like a 2020 patent application for a body-worn device with a laser projector, and there was a leaked investor document from 2021 that mentioned an always-on camera and LiDAR sensors. And back in April of this year, they finally revealed what they've been working on in a TED Talk.
And we agree. Sorry, this is my wife. I'm gonna have to get this. Hello?
Since that reveal, they've given it a name, the AI Pen. Although I have a feeling they think people are going to drop the A and just call it the iPen, but whatever. Their goal with the AI pen, and the mission statement for Humane in general, is to make the technology invisible and get rid of screens altogether. In his talk, Chaudhry called the screens a further barrier between you and the world, and he claims that Humane wants their technology to fade into the background of your life. The way it works is it's a wearable device that sits on the top of your shirt, either with a pen or a magnet. And when you're not actively using it, it kind of monitors your surroundings and helps you navigate or provide information when needed. You interact with it with your voice and with gestures, and when it does need to display information, as you saw from that clip where you made the phone call, you just hold out your hand and it projects it on your hand with lasers. The idea is it's a little AI assistant that you can use to interact with like it's a person. It listens and anticipates your needs, so if you're hungry, it might suggest nearby options. Like I noticed a moment in the TED Talk before he makes that phone call where he says the word wife and a little light goes on his little AI pen.
Right now I'm trying
so
to
was that the
memorize
AI
this piece.
listening
It's
and
been a
knowing
while.
that it was time to
Or
make
no,
a
it's
call
not
to
that
his
it's
wife,
been
or
a
was that
while,
somebody off
but
screen
been practicing
triggering it
for a bit,
remotely? It
and
certainly
now
seemed
I'm
like something
finally starting
intelligent
to
was
try to
paying
play the whole
attention and
thing
acting
without the
appropriately, which is
sheep
the
as
idea.
always.
Chaudhry talked about the
There are a
tech
lot
being
of
ambient and
rough spots.
contextual. And that's what he showed, a piece of tech that waits quietly, taking in the world around it until it can be helpful. Like at one point in the demo, he used a double finger tap to use the pen to translate his words into French.
Des appareils invisibles devraient sembler si naturels à utiliser.
And the translation was in his
There's
voice using generative AI, which is super cool for all the travelers out there. Like granted, we've had Google Translate on our phones for a while, but this just takes it a step further. Again, without the need for a screen. It can also serve as a personal assistant, managing your email and your calendar.
Catch me up.
Patrick is coming to tomorrow's design meeting. Bethany wants to move next week's dinner, and Oliver is asking about soccer this weekend.
According to them, it's fully customizable with the gestures and prompts, so you can teach it what you want it to do with machine learning. And because it learns from you, the more you use it, the more efficient it'll get. Where it does get a little yikesy is the fact that its camera is basically always on. The idea being that, like, you know, if you were watching your child take its first step, you wouldn't have to, like, whip out a phone and experience it through the screen. You can just be present and enjoy it, and then after it is over, you can just tell the device to save what just happened. Which I get that. I mean, that's cool. I get the reason behind it, but you definitely get into some privacy concerns there. Though, I mean, we've all got cameras in our pockets all the time now. There's security cameras everywhere you go, but it's something else when somebody's just pointing a camera at you. Like the next time you're out somewhere, just pull up your phone and do this to the table next to you. Yeah, people don't like that. And the coffee shop will not let you back in there again. Which, by the way, that was one of the hang-ups people had with the Snap glasses and the Ray-Ban smart glasses. Just the fact that there's this big camera just staring at people when they're trying to talk to you. So, I mean, I do worry a little bit that if smart glasses or, you know, always-on digital assistants like the AI pen, if that really does become a thing, it might kind of change how people act, which might sound like a good thing if you think generally that people are bastards. The idea that they might, you know, act a little bit nicer and more civil if they know that they're being recorded. But I don't know, like, I make video content for a living, and I can tell you, people just act differently when there's a camera on them. And yeah, I'm a little worried that over time, if these things become ubiquitous, that people will just kind of adopt a layer of falseness in our interactions with each other. That we'll never really be sure who we're talking to. Like, is this the authentic person or just a persona that they adopt for the camera? Which, I mean, to push back against Humane just a little bit, if their stated goal is to remove screens so we can connect with each other more fully, this could be a hindrance to that. Anyway, the TED Talk's linked down below. Feel free to go check it out in full. Humane's AI pen is expected to come out later this year. The company has not even hinted at the cost, but if you want one, you can go to hue.ma.ne to get on the waiting list. Who.ma.ne? Yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. The idea is interesting, and I'll be watching to see where it goes, but I think the big question comes down to, have we reached peak distraction? Because the entire premise of this company and their device is that we're all clamoring to get off our phones and re-engage with each other, which, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made that would be better for society, and maybe we have reached a point where things have gotten so out of whack that there's a movement or a trend away from technology and screens to log off and touch grass, as they say. But I think there's also a solid argument that people like distraction kind of a lot. Okay, so this is a segment that I like to call Joe Contradicts the Entire Point of This Video. I mean, let's face it, there's nothing stopping any of us from setting these things down and walking away from it right now, but we don't, do we? Our phones are more integrated into our lives than ever before. And maybe a clip-on AI assistant could, take on a lot of the major uses of the phone and free us from our dependence on them. But I mean, come on, let's be honest with ourselves. Most of the time that we spend on our phone is just mindlessly scrolling some feed or playing some meaningless game. It's a dopamine delivery device. Which is why if I had to make a choice between these two options, I'd probably bet on smart goggles or glasses, because those would still allow you to engage in that sweet, sweet distraction whenever you want. Or maybe we all have, AI assistants on us that we use to kind of navigate our world and whatnot, but we also have a screen of some sort, a phone or a tablet or a computer that you can consume content or do work with. Or maybe my entire thesis is flawed. Maybe we landed on the perfect design, a pocket-sized device that you can use to communicate with anybody in the world and contains all the knowledge in the world.
Whew, we're getting somewhere with this.
Maybe that's sci-fi enough.
Almost.
Hi, I cut my hair to talk about today's sponsor, Henson Shaving. Get it? Because their product cuts hair? Not because I recorded this later. Not because I had another sponsor set up originally to run on this video, but they backed out at the last second, and then Henson was cool enough to step in and help us out. Thanks to Henson, I can pay my team now. They like that. Okay, so here's the deal with Henson. Not only are they fantastic partners in this channel, but they're also kind of doing the world a service by pointing out how badly we're all getting screwed by the shaving industry. Because people back in the day used to buy nice razors and then keep them for their entire lives. Just replacing the blades, which were super cheap. But then the shaving companies realized, hey, we can make a whole lot more money if we trick people into buying super cheap razors, and then we can create disposable cartridges that they have to keep buying for the rest of their lives, but instead of just charging a few pennies, we could charge $2, $3, $4 each. Make the thing they keep forever super cheap, but mark up the stuff they have to keep buying by 200% or more. And it worked. Probably most of you use these cartridge blades, and you're getting ripped off. You could be spending 10 cents per blade, instead you're probably spending $2 each. And that's for the discount blades. But you may be saying, yeah, you're paying more, but you're getting a better shave, so it's worth it. But that's the thing. You're not. I mean, sure, these cartridges may have 4 or 5 different multiple blades on them, but they're tiny, flimsy blades that are only supported on the ends. This causes them to flex and jump around on your skin. That's something they call chatter. It's this chatter that irritates your skin and leads to razor burn, and it wears down the blades even faster. But Henson's designed their razor so it supports the blades all the way across at a depth of only 33 microns, and it's angled to skim across your skin at the perfect 30-degree angle. And they can do it with this kind of precision because that's exactly what their background is. They started out making aerospace parts that are now on the ISS and Mars. So you save money, you get a better shave, and on top of all of that, it's better for the environment. These single blades are stainless steel, 100% recyclable, no plastics filling up landfills, even their packaging doesn't have any plastic in it. Now I know that shaving is a bit of a ritual, and people might be hesitant to try something new. All I can say is that I was hesitant too, but I gave it a shot, and honestly, I've never looked back. I've been Henson-pilled. It's kind of just something you have to try, so if you'd like to give it a try, just go to hensonshaving.com, pick out a razor you like, they have a variety of colors and styles to choose from, and then grab a 100-pack of blades while you're there, and then when you go to checkout, enter the promo code JoeScott at checkout, you'll get this 100-pack of blades completely for free. And these blades last between 5 to 7 shaves, so you probably won't spend another dime on shaving for at least a year. As this graph shows, it pays for itself super fast. So one more time, just for fun, it's hensonshaving.com. Enter code JoeScott for the free 100-pack of blades, and thanks to Henson for being such a great supporter of this channel. Alright, thanks a lot for watching. Please do like and share this video if you liked it, and if this is your first time here, I'll put a little video up here. Maybe I'll link to the most recent video that I did about the oldest sound ever recorded, because I did talk about how the invention of the phone kind of led to the invention of the gramophone, the recorded sound. So it was kind of a neat little story. But anyway, you can check that out. Check out any of the other videos that might show up on your browser tab. Give them a look, and if you enjoy them, I do invite you to subscribe. I come back with videos every Monday. And that's it for now. You guys go out there, have an eye-opening rest of the week. Stay safe. Get those goggles on or off as you're walking around. And I'll see you next Monday. Love you guys. Take care.
All right, today I want
cool.
to film more
That was
of a
fun.
raw.
What did you all think? Smartphones. I'm sick of them, personally. Anybody else sick of them? I think everybody should just pick up the guitar instead. So I was only half listening, obviously. Let me go back. Let me see. Any specific thoughts? Like, there was a lot, he was talking a lot about, like, VR headsets and stuff, as, like, potentially, like, the next thing after the smartphone. And then he was talking about, like, the AI pin. It was right about that time when he was talking about the pin that I realized, like, oh wait, this video is 9 months old. This is really old because the AI pin has been like just lambasted by tech reviewers recently, like Marquise Brown and others. Um, so I don't know. I mean, like giant meh to all of it. I feel like I think since this video, like over the last few months, Apple has announced that the sales of the Vision Pro have been disappointing, quote unquote, or like that they're like reducing efforts in the Pro model and like prioritizing putting all of their effort into their upcoming lower cost model. So I don't know. I mean, smart glasses sound cool in some ways, but dystopian in a lot of others. So let me know. What do you all think? I feel the end of the smartphone is near somewhat, but more in the sense of another video I saw, which I kind of want to wrap this one up, but we'll save it for another one coming up. There was one that was way more about how like smartphones are going to become uncool. Like, what do we do when smartphones are uncool? Yeah. So this is some of the type of content that I watch and that YouTube is feeding me in terms of the algorithm. So hope you enjoyed. Let's get a performance. If you're still watching, apparently you want to hear more of this piece. Let's get a full performance of this piece. Here is Valse 3 by Agustin Barrios. And I'm going to try to do the first page from memory. several mistakes, but that's fine. It's getting better. I feel like it's getting better for sure. All right, thanks all. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Just leave a comment below. It means a lot to me. Any and all feedback is honestly a gift. I am but a mere hobbyist here, just trying to share the journey and trying to get people talking about classical guitar a little bit more. So if you have any feedback on how I can improve this piece, I am all ears. All right, thanks everybody for watching. I will be back soon, if not tomorrow. All right, bye.